You just found out that your partner had an affair. Maybe you found the texts, maybe they confessed, maybe somebody told you. However it happened, your world is now shattered. And look, right now, you may feel like you're dying. You probably can't eat, you probably can't sleep. Your thoughts are probably racing so fast that you can't really catch them. One minute you're numb, the next minute you're probably drowning in rage or grief. I understand. I've seen it in my practice time and time again. And the worst part is that you probably don't know what to do next. My name's Wes. I'm a couples therapist, and I specialize in helping couples navigate affair recovery. And today I'm going to walk you through exactly what to do and what not to do in the first 30 days after you discover that your partner has had an affair. This is not going to be about deciding whether to stay or leave. Okay, that comes later. This is really more about survival, surviving those first 30 days, that first month without it getting worse. Okay, so let's get right into it. So what's happening to you here? First, I need you to understand something. What you're feeling is not a feeling of weakness, okay? It's not an overreaction. It is a trauma response. Research has found that that is the case. Dr. John Gottman, one of the leading researchers in relationships, calls the discovery of an affair a psychological injury. And that can be just as devastating as a physical trauma. The neuroscience backs this up. Here's what's happening in your brain, okay? Your amygdala, which is your brain's alarm system, it is activated by this threat response. Because of that, it floods your body with cortisol and adrenaline, which are the same stress hormones that you get if a tiger walks into the room. Your body doesn't distinguish between this physical danger and attachment danger, which is what this betrayal is. Your primary attachment bond, which is with the person who is closest to you, who is supposed to be your safe haven, has become a source of threat now. Dr. Sue Johnson, who's the founder of emotionally focused couples therapy, something that I practice in my work, she describes this as an attachment injury, okay, a violation that is so deep that it rocks the foundational sense of your world. So when you feel like you're going crazy, you're not. Your brain is doing exactly what it's designed to do when safety is threatened. So let me just normalize a few things you might be experiencing right now. One, physically, you might have trouble eating or sleeping. Okay, this is pretty normal. You might feel nauseous. You might have chest pain. You might shake uncontrollably. You might even feel exhausted, even though you can't rest. Some people lose significant weight in the first few weeks after discovering an affair because it is so stressful to you. Mentally, you probably have racing thoughts, and these are probably images of your partner with this other person. You might be unable to concentrate. You are probably struggling at work, and you might lose track of conversations or start forgetting things. Emotionally, you probably are swinging between numbness and overwhelm, or between like rage and despair. Both of these things are two sides of the same coin. You are jumping from extreme to extreme. And sometimes people even feel like this eerie sense of calm or dissociation from the event. Dr. Kevin Skinner, who researches betrayal trauma, found that the betrayed partner often meets clinical criteria for PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, things that we normally hear about from people in the military or people who have been in war zones. It's the same type of impact on your psyche. And if you're experiencing these symptoms, there's definitely nothing wrong with you. Something has happened to you that was wrong. So let's talk about the timeline of this acute crisis, okay? Because there's a longer term crisis in your marriage, and then there's this acute crisis that you're dealing with in the moment. So right now, I'll give you a map of what to expect over the next 30 days, okay? Everyone's different, but there is a general pattern that we usually see both in the research and in the clinical experience that I have too. So week one, there's usually this shock and disorientation phase. First week, you're just kind of in survival mode. You might feel numb. You might feel dissociated. You might feel like you're watching your body from outside. Or you might feel intense waves of emotion that crash over you in waves. Dr. Janice Abrams Spring, in her book, After the Affair, describes this as the crisis phase, okay? Period where your only job is to stabilize yourself. You're not going to make decisions this week. You are not figuring out your future with your partner. You are just getting through the day. That's step one. Week two, reality tends to set in. Okay, around week two, the shock often wears off and the full weight of what happened usually lands with you. For many people, this phase actually feels worse than week one. unfortunately. And look, that's normal because you're not going to go backwards here, but the anesthesia is starting to wear off. This is also where the need for information typically intensifies. You want to understand what happened, and I think that's natural in a situation like this. You understand who the person was, how long it went on. You start asking a lot of questions. Week 3 becomes more obsessive. This is usually a phase where thinking starts to peak. This is where the intrusive images come up. The compulsive checking of their phone starts happening. The researching the affair partner online, going through their social media, looking at pictures of them. This can feel all-consuming. And this is just your brain trying to create safety through information. It's not going to work, but it's what your brain is trying to do. It feels like if it just understands everything, then it can protect you from being hurt again. So we'll talk about how to manage this, okay? Week 4 is early signs of stabilization sometimes. Again, this is different for everyone, but you may start to see glimpses of stabilization, not healing, okay? This is like a long-term process, but moments where you can start to function a little bit better. Brief gaps between these like waves of emotion and pain that are happening to you. You might start to dissociate less and be more present in the moment. And look, I just want to reiterate, this is different for everyone. If this is not you or where you are right now, that's okay too. And look, feeling that way doesn't mean that you're over it. Okay. It just means that you are starting to survive. So let's start to talk about what to do. Okay. In week 1, here's what we're going to do. Priority 1 here is basic physical survival. Okay, you're taking care of your basic needs. If we think about the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you are at the bottom at this moment. I know this sounds simple, but when trauma rocks you like this, you have to just take care of yourself. Just cope for a little while. You have to eat something. You have to drink water. Okay, you have to try to rest, even if you can't sleep. I recommend people set reminders on their phones for some of these things because you might forget because you're just so out of it. Your body is burning through resources at an incredible rate right now. The stress hormones that are flooding your system are depleting you. If you don't take care of the basics, you are going to crash. And crashing, unfortunately, makes everything even harder. So you got to take care of yourself. Set alarms if you need to. Eat really small amounts, smoothies, crackers, soup, easy things, whatever you can tolerate. Okay, it's like being sick and just trying to get through this situation. This isn't about being super nutritious at this moment. Okay, this is about keeping your body and your mind functional. Priority 2 is to try to tell one person who's close to you. At least one person needs to know what's happening so you don't socially isolate. Someone who can check in on you, someone who you can call at 2 a.m. when the thoughts won't stop. You need support here. That doesn't have to be your best friend, doesn't have to be your parents, but it can be anyone that you trust. But you should not be completely alone with this. That's where the real damage is done. And if you truly have no one, find a therapist who you can see this week or call a crisis line. Isolation just makes the trauma worse. Priority 3 this week is to establish basic ground rules with your partner. At some point in the first few days, you need to have a conversation with your partner. This is going to be hard, but it's not a reconciliation conversation. This is just crisis management. Okay, so here's a script for what I suggest that you say. I'm not ready to make any decisions about our relationship, but I need some things from you right now to feel safe enough to even have a conversation. 1. Complete honesty moving forward. No more lies from you. 2, no contact with the affair partner. Okay, none moving forward. 3, transparency. I need access to your phone, your accounts, your location. I need that reassurance. 4, patience. I'm going to have a lot of big emotions and a lot of questions, and I don't want you to get frustrated. I have a lot of emotion going on right now, and I might have a lot of questions for you, and I don't want you to get frustrated with me for that. Okay? Can you agree to these things? If they can't agree to these basics, well, that tells you something important about whether recovery is even possible. Okay? But here's some things I don't want you to do in week 1. And these are just as important. Okay? So try to avoid these things. Don't make permanent decisions. Don't file for divorce. Don't kick them out permanently. Don't drain all the bank accounts. Your brain cannot make good decisions right now. It's in crisis mode. Temporary separation might be fine, but permanent choices should probably wait just a little while. And here's the other thing. Don't tell everyone. I know you might want to. You might have the urge to expose them, to rally support, to have people on your side. But you cannot untell people this. If you later decide to reconcile with your partner, people are going to remember. And in the end, it's okay. It's your choice to tell who you want to tell, but be strategic about it and don't make rash decisions in these first few weeks. The last thing is don't contact the affair partner. Okay. Nothing good comes from this. Not now, probably not ever. I would block them everywhere if you are connected on social media or other things like that. You don't want to be obsessing over this person. The other thing is don't demand every detail from your partner. You'll want to know everything, but graphic details will create mental images that are very hard to recover from. Basic information about it. Who, how long, is it over? That's appropriate. Okay. Save the deeper questions for later, ideally when you have a couples therapist present who can help you process this together in a safe way. That's really important here. Okay, let's talk about what to do in weeks 2 through 3. Okay, step 1 is to get professional support. I cannot recommend this enough. By week 2, you should be actively looking for a therapist. Not couples therapy yet, but an individual therapist for sure. If you want a couples therapist, that might help later if you want to choose reconciliation with your partner. But right now, you need individual support. You need to look for someone who specializes in betrayal trauma or affair recovery. You need to ask them specifically, what's your experience with infidelity? You want someone who won't immediately push you towards staying or leaving. Okay. The next thing is to get tested. I'm sorry to say this, but it's important. Okay. If the affair was sexual, then you need to get tested for STIs. It's just a safety measure to take into consideration. Even if they say that the affair was only emotional or we didn't have full intercourse, it might be helpful to you to schedule a full panel to take care of your health and manage that element of things. The next step here is managing your intrusive thoughts because they're going to happen. Okay, I can tell you. The obsessive thoughts, the mental movies, the replaying, the constant thinking about it, this is one of the hardest parts of affair recovery. Dr. Dennis Ortman, who wrote the book Transcending Post-Infidelity Stress Disorder, he talks about this as your brain's attempt to process an incomprehensible violation. It's trying to make sense of something that doesn't make sense. So here are a few techniques that typically help. Okay, schedule worry time. This sounds counterintuitive, but designate 20 to 30 minutes a day as your time to think about the affair. When intrusive thoughts come up outside of that window, acknowledge them. Say, I see you. It's just say, I'll think about that at whatever the time is, 7 p.m., 8 p.m., whatever it is. And then actually do it. Okay, give yourself that time. Give your brain that permission to let go temporarily. The next thing is to use grounding techniques. Okay, when you are spiraling, come back to the present moment. This is really important and is a real skill to learn. An easy one to do here is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You can name 5 things that you see, 4 things that you can hear, 3 things you can touch, 2 things you can smell, 1 thing you can taste. Okay. And as you do this, as you name these things mentally, I want you to actually do them too. Okay. So smell the smell, taste, take a sip of water or something, touch, feel the textures around you. As you notice them with your eyes, I want you to notice the texture, the weight, the color. All of these things is focusing your brain in on them so that you can ground more in the present moment, and that pulls you out of that kind of anxious thinking. Another technique you can try is the mental movie technique. Okay, so when intrusive images appear, try changing them. Okay, you can shrink the screen down, you can make it black and white, you can add silly music to it. This doesn't erase the image, of course, but it can reduce the emotional intensity. This takes a little bit of creativity in the moment, but it can actually be really helpful. Next, you need to work on managing checking behaviors. Okay. This is the urge to check their phone, their location, their email. This is going to be intense. Okay. And some transparency is necessary for rebuilding trust. But compulsive checking keeps you in a state of hypervigilance that prevents healing. It's like checking your social media all the time. Dr. Stan Tatkin, who is the founder of the Psychobiological Approach to Couples Therapy, or PACT, talks about creating a couple bubble for safety in your relationship. Part of that is establishing structured transparency. Okay, so work with your partner to create clear agreements around what transparency means: full access to devices, regular check-ins about whereabouts, open discussion of any contact. The goal is to develop enough transparency that you don't need to check constantly, but not too much. Interestingly, having access often reduces the feeling of compulsion here. So when you know that you can look at any time, the frantic need to look all the time diminishes at least a little bit. Okay, let's talk about week 4 and the road ahead. okay? Because this is going to be a long journey for you. Here are some signs that things might be starting to stabilize for you. And again, everybody's on their own timeline here, okay? You can eat a full meal sometimes. You can sleep for a few hours at a stretch. You have brief moments where you are not actively thinking about the affair. You can function at work, even if you're not at full capacity. And the waves of emotion are still intense, but there might be some gaps between them. This is actual progress. It may not feel like it, but it is. Okay. So what comes next here? Well, the first 30 days are really about stabilization. It's about getting to a okay place. What comes after that is decisions. Okay. So if you're considering reconciliation, you will need couples therapy with someone trained in affair recovery. Approaches that are good for this are emotionally focused couples therapy, the Gottman method, and the Gottmans have a specific training on affairs and infidelity that I've taken that you can also look up or ask your therapist about whether they've taken too. There's also affair recovery protocols like those developed by Drs. Snyder, Balcom, and Gordon in their book, Getting Past the Affair, which is also a great book to read if you need a resource. And other books that you might consider are Dr. Janice Abrams Spring's books, After the Affair, and How Can I Forgive You, and Michelle May's book, The Betrayal Bind. Okay, all of these are great resources, and I can link them down below to help you if you are looking for additional kind of learning materials here. But you want to find a couples therapist first who is trained in this modality, who can help guide you and your partner if you're thinking about reconciliation. But recovery is possible. Research shows that with proper treatment, many couples who commit to the process not only stay together, but report their relationship is ultimately stronger. And I've seen this in my work. It is possible. It takes a lot of hard work, but you can do it. But it requires genuine effort from both partners. And it takes time, realistically 2 to 5 years. So if you are leaning towards leaving, look, that's valid. I get it. And it's a reasonable decision. Not all relationships can or should be saved. What matters is that you make that decision from a grounded place, not from a place of chaos in the first week. And if you don't know what you want, that's also okay. You don't have to decide yet. What matters is that you're healing, that you are getting support, that you are not making permanent decisions while your brain is in crisis mode and can't really think, that your prefrontal cortex is not online during that time. So here's the bottom line. Okay, let me leave you with this. The next 30 days will be some of the hardest in your life. There's no way around that. Okay. But you can get through them without doing things that you regret in these first 30 days. You can take care of yourself while you're in pain. You can hold space for not knowing what comes next, as hard as that is. This affair is something that happened to you, but it is not who you are. Your worth is not determined by your partner's choices. So whatever you decide about your relationship, you deserve support, honesty, and time to heal. And I hope you get that. If you're in the early days of this, I put together something that might be helpful for you. It's called The First 30 Days After Discovery, a survival guide and workbook. It's linked down below. It's a free PDF that walks you through everything that we've talked today in more detail, along with day-to-day guidance, worksheets for processing what you're feeling, and scripts for difficult conversations with your partner, as well as some techniques for managing intrusive thoughts and checklists to track your progress. So the link to download it, like I said, is down below. This will also sign you up for my email list, so you may get a few emails from me. If this video was helpful for you, please subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out. I post videos every week on things like affair recovery, rebuilding trust, creating secure relationships with your partner. Please like this video or share it with someone. That really helps the metrics, or leave a comment down below. Really, really appreciate you showing up here, and just know that you don't have to go through this alone. I'll see you in the next one. Good luck.